On Monday, at Ibeto Hotel, we met with members of different groups of persons with disability. This is a process. Please understand that this is a process. So Site Savers and DFID, supporting Ministry of Women's Affairs, has embarked on this process of validating this national policy. On Monday, there was a room full of about 80 to 100 people representing various groups of persons with disability. And they went through the national document, the national policy, went through it painstakingly, went through it in groups, and they said, these are the gaps that we see. These are the gaps that we identify in that document. All of those gaps have now been harnessed, and that is what the consultant has just presented now. Today is a continuation of that process. Many people here are government functionaries or partners of the government. That is why you are here. So you may not be aware of what has gone on before. Now, the point why I'm going through this is so that we get a clear picture. We've looked at the policy document. We've identified the gaps. We're hearing now from the government people. We've got the commitment from the Ministry of Justice. We've got the commitment of the Honorable Minister herself. We got the commitment. Who was Jonah? She was the one who said that you are with us and you are working with us. So I want us together as one house to get the big picture of where we are at and where we're going to. At this point, may I ask, you know, I like the session we had before. It was very reassuring. You know, we were reassured that, listen, whatever it is that has gone past, it's gone past, yes. But we are now moving forward. And in so doing, our fears have been allayed. That for the last 16 years, nobody has listened, but now people are actually indicating that they are listening, isn't it? Right. So, on that note, I want us to be quite clear that every single fear, you know, everything that has caused you some discomfort, has it been addressed? Have we got your feedback now? Is it complete? Did you listen to, you think so? You think so? I like that. You believe that the fears have been allayed. Sir, you believe the fears have been allayed. You believe the fears have been allayed. I'm loving this. You believe the fears have been allayed. Please, let's give a round of applause. Eh? Beautiful, 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 beautiful. You see, this needs to happen so that we all collectively move forward. And that is what the consultant has beautifully done, that we've heard, we've moved from a charitable lens. No, this is about human rights, and all the steps that she has outlined, that these are things that we're going to see in the new document as it is rewritten. Eh? And all our fears have been allayed. Okay, so now the round of applause is for me. Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And now we want to...
The next presentation
is
on the issues for the UK Disability Summit. So it's going to be anchored by Grace and we Atsu. So you have the floor.
Actually, it looks like
Esther has a quick comment, and then, because actually, I just wanted us to be on the same page. I think we'll open up for comments after the second presentation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Question, because even though I didn't read the whole text or during the presentation of the person from the National Bureau of Statistics, but there was a definition that makes me feel a bit uneasy. Because if we are talking about harmonizing instruments for data collection, we also have to have a common understanding of what it is we are researching or collecting data on. If we don't have a common understanding of the definition, I think we will have different interpretations and we can't use data from one source to the other. So, and my thinking is when I was reading it, is as if it's the old definition that was focusing on health versus welfareist approach. So I wonder whether that is the case or I got the wrong end of the stick.
Yeah, maybe I'm not taking the place of MBS, but I think MBS was premised on the formal policy. And that is why we all need to agree on this policy. The moment we sign it off, we agree that is what we are bound by. All stakeholders, all ministries, departments, agencies, friends of Nigeria that want to come into Nigeria will be bound to that definition. And that is why it is very important we are guided by a policy document. And I think on that premise, MBS is protected. Yes, that will be offset things we are taking up in implementation. Because when we finish, you remember when I said the guideline, the next phase, we are going to disseminate. There will be capacity building. Institutions need to know the meaning of all of this. And that is all of the things Ministry of Women Affairs will be leading us on. So I think at that point, everybody will be bound and they will be trained on what it means and how to go about mainstreaming disability.
Yes, you did, but you already spoke at one time. So please, let's hear somebody else's voice. 1, 2, and then this was here.
Okay, yeah, standing on an existing protocol, I'm Dr. Peter Oboji from Social Security Department, Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment. Just speaking on the policy, perhaps just of interest was my ministry, the Ministry of Labor and Employment. It was captured in 3.12, Social Security, which is very good. Then on the roles and the responsibility, it only reflected the ministry role. It was just reflected on employment issue. So I just wish to include, I just wish to suggest that it also includes social security services, a very holistic social security services, because what we're having are more of interventions, which is the wheels and caprice of government changes and all those. So we need social security services for the country. So it's not just the employment. Thank you very much.
Okay. So that's a valid point. So we'll noted that. Thank you. So it's services, yes. One more person will speak and see the next presentation.
Thank you. My name is Olajide Funsho from Ekiti State. Under the implementations, where we have the roles and responsibilities, it was divided into 3 levels for federal, state, and local governments. And then I noticed that under the state and local government, JUNAPUD was not included. It was only included at the federal level. And I want to believe that JUNAPUD should be included at the state level and at the local government level.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. So 2 further points have been made that we've added to the gaps that we're going to put in place when we adapt it. Sir, you have to beg for this mic. Again.
Sorry, you may write a very fine thesis, very fine project, but in the end, a footnote of 1 sentence or 2 can damage the whole work. The delivery by the NBS man almost damaged our work here, because the man at the end of his fine deliveries, in fact, he implied that NBS is handicapped with the best software to conduct, to give the analysis and release believable data. There are data that when you release them, they are not believable. So if NBS, an authority we have in Nigeria for statistics, is handicapped, how are we going to implement this policy, which is also centered or based on the population of persons with disabilities activities of all other bodies that are supporting what we are doing, when NBS itself has told us clearly that they are handicapped? Is the man around me here? Okay, you are here, sir. Okay.
Thank you very much. I never said that we are handicapped. I told you that we are prepared to move. Yes, I told us that we are prepared to move forward from now on.
I like that. There's one last, I did say I had taken the last hand, sorry. Somebody from Population Council wants to talk. Let's hear what the population people have to say. And then we will then know that we have, we will be in a position to validate and ratify this, and then we can move forward. Yes. Thank you.
My name is Ogu Gloria from National Population Commission. Please, consultant, I want you to correct that name in your document. It's National Population Commission, not National Population Census. So I want to allay our fears concerning data on disabled persons. Before the next census, we always have stakeholders forum where we talk about every question that will come up in census questionnaire. So the disabled persons will not be left out. Everybody will be informed. You will be there to make a contribution when we are ready. Thank you.
But for this one she has done, please give her a round.
A very good day for me because I came and I've realized that today is basically about voices. Voices and what it is that we want as a community of persons with disabilities. We want to be done for us and with us, because indeed nothing about us without us. Earlier on Monday, we had some meetings, and then at meeting, the main focus, one of the outcomes of the meeting was to see how best we can take advantage of the Global Disability Summit. And so we were privileged enough to have the head of DFID to actually give us a background as to what the summit is about. At that meeting, we sought as a community to come up with what we want the government to commit to. So my job here today is quite simple. We've compiled that, and so we're going to run through that, and then with all of us being here, we want to be sure as to whether the kind of commitments we want the government to take to the summit have been captured. So I have a draft of the commitments, and so if the technical people can roll it. We've also shared the draft. The idea is that ideally we could have divided ourselves into groups and vetted it, but we're going to go through it one after the other, and if you could please look at it, make your comments on the paper. Afterwards, please, we would collect every one of them and then do the final version and work with the government to see what is presented as the commitments coming from what we wish as the disability community for the government to commit to as part of the summit. Okay. So basically there are different strands of the priority ask that we came up with. So there's a strand that has to do with strengthening policy and legislation in Nigeria. And right from the beginning of today's program, we've heard so many of them. And I'm delighted to see that at least the priority ask captures a couple of them. So the first one was to ask the government to please commit to assenting to the Disability Rights Bill and a broad understanding of the human rights provisions in the Nigerian Constitution to accommodate the peculiarities of persons with disabilities. So earlier on we had feedback as to the fact that indeed if these legislations are implemented with understanding of human rights, we would understand that in implementing these policies, you look at the rights of persons to, let's say, movement. So in that sense, you're then going to look at the peculiar requirements for the different forms of disability. So the first one is to basically ask the government to please commit to assenting to the disability bill that we've been talking about since morning. And then the second we came up with was to commit to the revising of disability legislations to be in tandem with the UNCRPD. So we want to be abreast with the current discussions in the world and be in tandem with the UNCRPD. And so not only should the disability bill be passed or assented to, but we would also want the government to commit to the fact that all the legislations will be revised to conform to the UNCRPD. Then we also wanted an announcement of appropriate inclusive policies with a multi-sectorial approach. So in terms of the implementation, we want it to be not just skewed to one sector, but every single sector, so that we're going to get an indeed inclusive development in Nigeria and not skip anybody or leave anybody behind. The next one, please. Then there's another grouping that we grouped. Okay, so still strengthening policy. We also came up with the fact that we needed the promulgation of an affirmative action bill to allocate 15% of all government jobs, political appointments, and representation to persons with disabilities. We are quite ambitious, aren't we? Okay, we also wanted a review of sections of the Section 42 of the Nigerian Constitution to support the fight of stigma and discrimination. Then also to commit to policies to enable children with disabilities to attend inclusive schools in their communities. And education is one of the very dear things to my heart, because when we ask for all the empowerment, we need education, and we need inclusive education in our communities so that our children with disabilities don't have to travel far to access education. Okay, we also wanted the government to commit to participatory implementation strategies across all sectors of the economy, so through inclusive implementation of the SDGs and development planning. So it is heartwarming to see so many stakeholders around, and so we are hoping that we will get a commitment to a holistic approach, and then we will also do it in line with the SDGs, so that in terms of planning, we are not going to look at disability as an added-on issue, but in terms of right from the planning stage, implementation stage, disability is going to be right in the middle of it. It's going to be mainstreamed and not an added-on issue. Then the government, we also hoping, will commit to the implementation of inclusive policies all around. Then announce free and compulsory education for persons with disability for all levels. I can hear some, yes. So that's one of the things that a lot of people are passionate about. And so in order of priority, with the list that you have, I will be most grateful to get you list them, because this is what the groups came up with. So the idea is that you help us prioritize so that in terms of getting the government commitments, we know that with all the competing demands, even if some are missed, the topmost ones will be up there. So data, disaggregated data is one of the things that I've also heard various speakers talk about. And in our priority acts, it was captured as well. So we're looking for commitment to data and research fund to aid planning and implementation, taking into consideration persons with disabilities in terms of management of disaster risk situations. So that is another very important one. So we're asking for data, we're asking for commitment of a fund to make sure that data, the appropriate data is available, and that when it comes to disaster risk management, persons with disabilities would not be missed out, and that the appropriate data will be available so that we can plan appropriately to capture what is needed for the various sectors of the community. And then we also wanted the government to commit to investing in disaggregated data by age, gender, and disability, and types of disability. Because indeed, we are hoping that at the summit, when we go and the government commits to this, our dream is that when we come back, it will be implemented. And so if we get it right, there are areas that would not be missed out. Every type of disability would be catered for. We also came up with a commitment to the development of an aggregated PWD instrument to gather data on persons with disabilities in the current National Demographic Survey. I understand there's a survey that's going on, and so we want to take advantage of it and make sure that appropriate data is captured. Then there's another area we looked at, strengthening services and programs to promote the issues of persons with disabilities. So under that, the commitment includes domestication of and replication of every decision reached at the Global Summit, as well as all the commitments that we are hoping that the Nigerian government will carry to the summit. So after the summit, when we return, we all be, as stakeholders and as beneficiaries, we all be looking to support the government to implement its commitment towards persons with disabilities. We also wanted the government to commit to the reservation of 20% of employment opportunities for persons with disabilities in all sectors. And in this, we are thinking about both the private and the public sector. Also 20% affirmative action for PWDs in political appointments and political elective positions. So we go again being quite very ambitious. So this is still a draft, and it is something that is like a dream wish, a dream list that we are presenting for the government to see which areas are very important to us, so that beyond the summit, we can pick some of these and monitor and make sure they are implemented. So in terms of services and programs to persons with disability, we also want government to commit to giving incentives to corporate bodies for employing and empowering persons with disabilities, to ensure that organizations disclose the number of persons with disabilities in their employment. And from earlier engagements, we realized that actually there is some sort of law around it, but we want the government to commit to this so that beyond the summit, we can push for this to be done. I mean, these are quite ambitious figures, but it is a wish list. That is what the community wants the government to commit to. We also are quite mindful of the fact that this is a wish list. It will be sort of negotiated and an agreed position reached. And another thing that came up in all the discussions was around assistive devices. So we want the government to commit to invest in appropriate technology and assistive devices for persons with disabilities. Then we want a commitment to ensuring easy importation of these devices and at a reduced cost. So whether there are subsidies or things to make sure that they are available and they are also affordable. Okay. We also came up with a wish for an announcement to establish a technology and innovative center for the manufacturing of assistive devices, because we can import all the time, but we're also looking for employment in country, and we are looking to be sure that these are available in country and easily accessible. And we wanted the government to commit to the establishment of grants, loans, and microcredits for startups established by persons with disabilities. So we have all these wish lists. Now the idea is that we are partners with government. And so we want to be sure that as the summit provides a good platform for disability issues to be projected and should be focused on, and for stakeholders to make commitments, we would want to also, at this point, think about how, as a community, we're going to support the government to actually implement all these wishes and the commitment that we want the government to come up with. We are not coming up with an answer now because it is something that we have to think through. It's not something that we can just dream up, but it is something that we need to bear in mind as we prepare towards the summit. Because we are in good times, we are lucky, we are happy that a lot of attention is being focused on disability. And thanks to UK Aid and other partners. There's going to be a global disability summit. We are hoping to get people to even commit more funds to disability issues. However, when we return, we have to also start thinking now how we're going to follow up and make sure that the summit becomes a springboard for these commitments to be implemented. And as partners and stakeholders with government, we all have a role to play. So now I would really be glad to have, we'll give you about 5 minutes to please go through the list that you've been given, mindful of the fact that some of them are quite ambitious, mindful of the fact that we might not get everything committed to. We should please list in terms of priority what we want the government to commit to. Mindful of the fact that it's also a draft. If there's something that was missed because we have a larger community here, you can also just scribble it down and then we will take it into consideration and do the final draft. Thank you very much. That's what I just said. Number in terms of priority. Okay. Okay. So okay, so Titi and a bit, my colleagues helping with the facilitation are going to come round. The idea is the list as it is. You number it. So the one that is very high in terms of priority, you number it 1. So you write 1 by it, where the bullets are. You write 1. And Titi will do it there, yes. I should remove it. There's another mic, okay.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming towards the end of what we have come here to do today. This is what the Honorable Minister is going to be taking to the UK in July. There's the first ever global summit. I didn't know it was the first. The first ever global summit, global, is going to be taking place in the UK in July. Now, as a country, Nigeria, we're going to be making demands of the government. These are the things that we want from the government with respect to persons with disability. So because of all the things we're talking about, Monday, today, and all, here is a list that has come up. This list is divided into 5 different groups. Number 1, Group 1, we want to strengthen policy. Group 2, we want to strengthen the implementation of policy. Group 3, we want to improve the collection of data and how to use data. Group 4, we want to look at the services and programs that respond to us as persons with disability. There are 4 broad categories. That's why we've made one sheet available to everybody. Now, this is what we want you to do. We want to be able to, when we get to the UK, to be able to say that this is an inclusive process. Everybody's voice was heard. That is why we're going through this process. So please, look at Group 1. Group 1 has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bullets. There are 7 points under Group 1. There's 6 under group 1. 6, eh? Think inside your mind, you just yourself, think, which is my top 3? Which is my top 3 in this group 1? Write it. 1, 2, 3. Those will be your top 3 in this group 1. When you finish group 1, go to group 2. There are 3 bullets in group 2. Take 2 out of them. Some are similar to each other. Yeah. They're close to each other. That's okay. Is that what you're saying, sir? So they're slightly different. So group 1, choose your top 3. You know that your own top 3 will be different from another person's top 3, isn't it? Will be different from another person's top 3. Choose your own top 3. Do it for group 2. Do it for group 2, choose 2. Group 3, choose 2. Now, please may I have your attention. Some issues that you have raised have not been captured here. That means you were not there on Monday, because this came from Monday's group. You were not there, and your issue is here. You even did a presentation, but that issue is still not here. Please write it. If you have an issue that is not captured here, ladies and gentlemen, there is space at the bottom of this page. Please write it. Write it clearly, and I promise you it will be taken on board. Right now, we just want to prioritize this list. That's what we want to do for now. Yes. Rank the commitment, yes. Rank 1, 2, 3. Or you can.
It should be numbered.
Numbers 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Please write it. Please write it. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention? We're coming towards the end. So, the list that you have in your hand, this is the commitment that we're asked. These are the things that the government will be committing to. Is that correct?
Okay. So the idea is that we have a wish list that we hope the government will take into consideration when they are framing their commitments. So it is a wish list that we are hoping the government will take into account when they are framing their commitment. So the idea is we wish the government to commit to these areas. Yes, those are priority areas we want the government to commit to.
So if you have any questions, yes, meet the facilitators. There are people going around to collect. When the government is making her commitment, which government? Which government? Which government? The federal government of Nigeria, when they are making their commitments, these are the things that we want to see reflected in that commitment. So that is it. So please, speak now or forever hold your peace. Eh? No, it's not like that. But please, no. Choose from these ones the things that you would want the government to phrase in their commitment. Yes, that's it. I was getting it wrong before. Yes.
Yeah. Once again, good afternoon.
No, not yet. Is it yes. I want to finish this exercise before we open. Thank you. Sorry, you got a hand up. So you want to ask the question? You want to suggest something, but you've written it there. Excellent. Thank you. Yes, sir. Your hand is up, sir. Yes. You want the speaker? You want the mic?
Yes.
Could you tell me what you want to talk about, so that we?
I want to talk about discrimination right now, right here. I want them to correct something here.
In the hotel right now?
No, here. Where I have
Ladies and gentlemen, please may I have your attention? Please sit down. Please sit down. Somebody who has a point to make. And pass your papers to the facilitators and lend me your ears. Please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I stand on the existing protocol here. I will want to call our attention to something that happens just now, even before UK, even before we go to the UK. Among ourselves, you see us, I'm blind, and I have other blind colleagues here. You give us the paper for us to rely on somebody to dictate to us. It's not too proper. I'm sorry. Next time, I want to appeal to you to correct this. We want to have access to all this. We want the brave version of all this. If you don't have the money, you can commit us as partners. We want the brave version of this next time. Thank you. Even my national disability policy, I have to braille it myself. Yes, please let us have this in brave. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Please give a round of applause. Please. He's making a very valid point that even this process, how inclusive has it been? And sir, I very humbly beg your pardon, and that for all the other people who are here visually impaired. It is a point of correction, and we take it very seriously. We will make amendments. I promise you to not be like this next time. That is something that I feel passionate about. Because for those who are hearing impaired, we've made arrangements for interpreters for them. So we should also look for a way to get all our documents translated into Braille. So pardon us this time around. It will not happen again. Thank you. Right. We're coming close to the end of the exercise. And our priorities. These are the things that we would like the government of Nigeria to commit to as they're making their commitment at that global summit in July. Sorry? They're all good, okay. It's a wish list. It's a wish list. And as we said, if what you want is not written there, do please write it there yourself. Eh? Yes. You want an extra copy? Okay. Yeah. Can you have a copy? Sure, by all means. Yes, yes. Okay. I can't see anybody still writing. I think we've all we're done. We are coming very, very rapidly to the end of today's deliberations. Before we take closing remarks, we'll be taking closing remarks and going for lunch now. Let me ask one question. Has everybody here got a meal ticket? Yes. No. Eh? They're distributing. Okay, good, right. There are 2 hands that are up here because what you have to say is very, very burning, isn't it? There are 3 hands. I'm going to recognize these 3 people. Ladies and gentlemen, we must bring this to a close. I'll recognize these 3 people, and then I'll give the mic to the honorable people behind me. 1, 2, 3. Those are the 3 people. And then you will respond. Please give your closing remarks, and we can call it a day. Does that sound like a process? So, who goes first?
Yes, good afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Honorable Adam Shaibu, the Vice President, Second Vice President General and the Acting Secretary General. My word is that we have had a lot during our discussions on Monday and today, and a lot of contributions, inputs, comments has been done, which means we are now expecting a kind of a clean or a well-participatory and an inclusive document to come out. Now, my question is that as a community and being the target beneficiaries, the Global Summit is coming up, as I have had in July. Now, how can we, that is before the committee do proceed for the Global Summit, how can we be able to know finally whether all these contributions, inputs, has been captured in the final draft of the... Are the ministry going to be able to share the final draft of this policy? These are our questions.
Permit me to stand on the existing protocol. My name remains PERL Esquire, President, Global Hope and Justice, DPO. Yes, I want to really ask a very pertinent question. There is this occurrence that happens all the time when you see disability organizations having summits or organizations outside Nigeria. For instance, when there is women's summits, either in South Africa, in England, in America, you will see 90%, if not 100% women in that summit. It's only in disability issues that when disability summit is done, you can only see 1 or 2. Others are all able-bodied persons, representing people with disabilities. In these summits, Honorable Minister, how many persons with disabilities are going with you? Please, we want to know. How many DPOs are being sponsored by the federal government to participate in this?
But this is the first summit now. Which one are you talking about? No. We will hear from her in a minute. A short message from the special advisor to the governor in Ondo State. So, I just want to give her some space because it's from the...
Yes, thank you, ma'am. And I really appreciate this organization to invite persons with disability. In fact, you really encourage me. And the last lecturer, she says about a political issue that the persons with disability should be appointed. Although in politics, we appreciate Nigeria now. We are moving in terms of appointing persons with disability in Nigeria. But talking of electing posts, because I was one of House of Assembly aspirants, in fact, a lot of they discriminate, our people discriminate persons with disability. They don't encourage us in time to contest for a post, maybe MHR, representative or House of Assembly. How are we going to maybe to come out for the awareness, to give us a chance, to give us a voice? Maybe it should be automatic for persons with disability during the primary, that person with disability should be given automatic to win the primary before the general election. We all believe we have the ability to do everything. Thank you.
Message from Ondo State. Thank you. I said he has already spoken before, so actually this is a privilege to be able to speak again. So please make your point, sir, and then we round up. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My question, I think Paul has answered my question, has asked my question. Mr. Paul. The other thing is that on the disability policy, one important thing that I think should be added to it is what is the role of the status of the what is the role or the status of the umbrella body of persons with disability in Nigeria and cluster groups? It is important for us to be able to add it in policy. Very, very important. Finally, is that we need to add to this policy making emphasis on the importance of our full participation on development process beginning to the end of it. We need to also put it in the policy. Thank you.
I think for standing up, for voicing his concerns. I think he deserves a round of applause. Eh? Please, 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 please.
Good afternoon. Permit me to start on the existing protocol. I want to comment on the person from Ondo State, that how would the person with disability participate in politics or in political something. I want to give you an example from Kwara State. It is this person with disability, they form as a pressure group to the government. There they align themselves with some of the members of House of Assembly, in which they even get a lawyer to such a person. Then to draft a bill to establish office for person with disability. They mobilize all the NGOs to support that person, the candidate from that office, House of Assembly. They pass it into law. Then they now call all the stakeholders in the state to come and give their own presentation in the floor of the House. They went with the ministry, there's little we can do. But we are trying to ginger them that go on, serve as a pressure group to all these people. When they mount their pressure, there's nothing the government can do. They have to ascend it. Now in Kwara State, they have bill for office for person with disabilities, just like your home in your state. Now remaining for implementation. Now in politics, you have to align with all these people to carry you along. In fact, those people in our state, they are unionized and they move closer with all these people to support them. They don't give them an age. So that's how you can do it, so that at times, then they can say, okay, go for this thing. Then little by little, gradually. They are even pressure for SA now, that they should nominate a member of them to be SA or whatever. So that's it.
What I'm loving about this session is that this is networking and strategy sharing. Ondo State, go and learn from Kwara State how they are doing it, isn't it? Lagos State has told us what they're doing. One more, please, from Cross River, isn't it? Yes, because he met me during break. After this, then we have to listen to what the people at the high table have to say. we wrap it up and we go home. Yes.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister of Women's Commission. Prime Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development. My name is Eugene Ojong from Cross River, Director of Rehabilitation. I think we have said so much about validating the legitimacy and on disability. What we want is implementation. And for implementation to work, we need resources. So I'm appealing to the Honorable Minister to at least invite all the commissioners of all the 36 states, including Abuja, to sit down and fashion out a way on how to dialogue with the chief executive of the various states on how to raise, because all this I'm only going to report what we have heard here. So if there is no finances, it means we have done nothing. So if there are commissioners from all the 36 states, and including Abuja, sit down and come up with this problem, we can be able to come out with a conclusion. If not, it will only remain a paperwork. That's my contribution.
Hello? Hello? You are not answering. Hello? Are we tired? Why are you tired now? Okay, we'll soon close. In the next 5 minutes, we close. There's something very important that has happened, and we are so glad. We have an erudite consultant that has been able to capture all the gaps that were raised in the morning that are still being raised. We are sure that whatever gap has been raised, we are going to capture all. That's one. I mean in the national policy. Another thing that has come so good and beautiful from the FID work they did with the DPOs on Monday is that they were able to come up with a wish list. Do you know the beauty of this wish list? The beauty is that they came up with thematic areas. It's just beautiful for us. And that thematic area, if you have time to go through the policy document, you see they all fitted in very, very well, which means we're on the same page. So when it also comes to implementation, that's why we're talking about the acts list. If you look very well too, some of the things we have in the policy might not have captured very well, but that is implementation, which will require implementation strategies for us to make sure we pick in every bit of thing that is in the implementation. And there are also percentages that has already been, you have in the wish list, which government before now, prior to this point, already has percentages, maybe a little bit lower than what you have. So it is still a work in progress. We continue working. We have this new list as a benchmark to where we are going to. Now the last part that has happened so beautifully is that we are now in, like you are going to the market. You have 1,000 lists. Do you carry them to the market like that? No. You have to prioritize. So the prioritizing we have just done now, and we don't know what is in that prioritizing list. We are still going to get it, to know what is inside it. We are assuring you again that we are going to have a good outing. For what we have captured in the policy, we will still circulate. All that's going to happen in New York, I've told you, are going to debrief everybody that's in this house. And beautifully enough, the man from Cross River mentioned it so appropriately, And he said, we need to call the state government, that's the state ministries of women affairs, to be able to key into it. They're already here, just to form strategies. But the strategies are not going to end up with the states. DPOs are going to be involved. It will be one stage to the other, and eventually there will be a meeting point. Because the work, as we are doing it now, I mentioned it earlier, if you are doing community-based, other community-based rehabilitation, which has moved to community-based inclusive development, it's all stakeholders. It's not Ministry of Women Affairs. It's everybody, ranging from the family to the community, from community to individuals, to DPOs, to government at various levels, including the private sector. All these things we have taken care of. We have hope that we are going in the right place. And for the BREL, for the visually impaired, we are so sorry. We've taken note of that in subsequent meetings, we should be able to have BREL materials. We've taken care of issues of persons that are deaf, but we know that BREL one we have to take care of it. And that's all we have said so far. But we cannot go without saying fully well what we have achieved here. We have 2 points. And these 2 points should form the outcome of what we have achieved here. And that's also what is going to build the basics of what we are going to do in the next level. Somebody asked issues of how many people are going. You know, this is another country. The whole hall might not go. The selection will be done, and that selection is still in process. We don't have the actual number, and it should come in representative. So there's also a limit to what a country will participate, the number of people the country will participate with, which cuts across the government, the private sector, the DPOs, and other experts. So the list will come out. If everybody can go, but then the few that are going, we should take them as our representatives, please. And whatever that happened there, everybody will get to know and will be on the same page as we are already on the same page now. Before we go, we need to say yes to our national policy, because we've agreed. Because if we don't adopt it, we might not be able to implement it. You cannot run any development work without a policy. A policy is a guideline. The legislation is also on point. We are pursuing that to ensure that it's assented to. So we need to adopt that we use our policy before we leave here. We're also going to adopt that whatever thing happens at the UK, we are going to implement, and we are going to be fully represented. So we have to do this. And Jonah Peter, I hope you are here. Where is the captain? Okay. For sure, sure. That is a done deal. That is a done deal. We are in the process. We also have persons with disability in the ministry. I hope you know. That's also your committee. So when they are taking, you shouldn't count it against your number. So you get what I'm saying? So we all... Eka. What I said? Eka, I wouldn't want you to move. You are comfortable where you are. So I want you to, with your team, I don't know who will help you to second, that we put our national as corrected. Artists corrected. We are still going to circulate it to see that everything we agreed upon is included in it. but we want to adopt it before. Okay, wait, let's adopt. You can add whatever you want to add. Wait, sir, wait, 1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute. Can you give a microphone, please? She's coming. No, let her come. You can come. You are free to come if you want to come, if it's convenient for you. Come over here. Come over here. Okay, I should stay again. Okay. What do you want me to say?
No, I just wanted to be sure that I heard you properly. And I want to
Okay, good. We have done some corrections with the policy, revised policy, which most of the gaps identified have been incorporated. And we're going to incorporate as many as identified, but you remember that some of them are going to come into implementation. That is where this thematic area that came up in your request list will fit in properly. So for things that are for policy, we can capture them, we will capture more if you want them. But we are going to take, before we leave here, we are going to accept our policy. That's what I'm saying. Accepting our policy as corrected. And before it goes to the final production, the clean copy will be circulated before it is produced. That's what we are asking for.
Okay. We were all listening. She wasn't just speaking to me.
I'm speaking to everybody. Well, I call her because she's a president, yes.
I just wanted to be sure we're all on the same page. Hold on.
Commissioner, Honorable Minister, can we ask her to take our authority to approve when the final copy is out?
Yes.
So we cannot approve it here because it's an incomplete document. Let us give her our authority. She's our president. Let us give her our authority.
That's what we are saying. It's the same thing. It's the same thing we are saying. Let her.
Hello? I mean, everybody's got the right to speak. That was just an opinion. And that's why I didn't want to speak from behind. I wanted to be in front so I can see us very well and hear us very well. That's just an opinion. I think we should allow him to speak. He is suggesting that maybe one option is that to give the office of the president the authority to adopt after we... Wait. His point is that we cannot adopt an incomplete document. That's what he's saying. Let's get somewhere. But
as amended.
The acting director said that as amended, that given the input, they just read the final version. I'm sure we were listening.
It's not final.
Today, yes. Yes, they just read it. I'm sure we were listening. So, where do we go from here?
It's outside.
No,
it's outside.
No, that is aside. That's
outside.
Global
yes.
Disability Summit. The policy.
Excuse me. Let me explain something before you go further. You cannot synchronize the document. You know why? There are two different documents. One is a policy. One is your request for the government, which is going to be presented in UK, which we are even yet to harmonize what the priority now. So there are two documents. So you can still adopt the two, but it don't have to be, you don't need to put them together. If you want to do one, fine. But you cannot adopt any of them. All of them need to be as amended. So there are two different documents. Yes. You understand it?
Okay, so it's clear now. I just wanted to be sure you understand very well what has been said. And it's not something I can do by myself. I need your permission. And whatever you say is what I will do. So, where are we? Do we adopt?
Yes. As amended, yes.
As amended? Yes. Wonderful. Okay, fine. As amended. So, meaning that we are waiting for the clean copy.
Yes.
So, yes? Yes. Wonderful. Okay. Yes.
Adopted. Can we clap our hands? Do you need any secondment?
Of course.
Yes, we need a second. But the president, with your voice vote, has adopted. Who is okay, you, sir. Can we clap? 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 Get his names, please. Can we clap?
Can we have another voice to that?
Yeah, okay.
Who else?
Okay. As amended. Okay.
Say your name and say something.
Your name, sir. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. Yes, sir.
Yes, I think I'm done.
Are you adopting too? Eh?
Okay.
Can you give him microphone, please? I don't know.
Are you seconding anything?
Are you seconding or?
I'm from Cross River State. I said I'm a director of rehabilitation in Cross River State. In Cross River State, the two ministries are separated. I'm representing Ministry of Sustainable Development and Social Welfare. Ministry of Social Development, Ministry of Sustainable Development and Social Welfare.
Okay.
So the policy is
okay.
Hello, we are at the stage of adopting this document.
no, what I'm saying is, he said somebody from Women Affairs. I said I'm not working with Women Affairs.
Hello. Excuse, sir. When we are talking about government, the government is from federal, state, and local government.
Yes, sir.
So you are together with us. Yeah. It's our document.
Okay.
So we're okay. So the two is okay. It's enough.
Excuse me, ma'am. Yes? If you don't mind, I want to get a female voice. They were all men adopting this.
Okay, let the female get up. Yes?
Okay. All right, please.
Yes, sir. Okay. It's adopted.
Excuse me. We are not in the house, and the more voices we have committed to this process, better for us. It will not cause any harm if you have a female. Oh, my brother, if everybody does that, I just put a female face to this consultation. Please, can we hear you, sister? You are part of it, isn't it?
Give her a microphone.
All right, please just note it for information.
And this should be the last, please, so that we can move on to...
No, I agree. You don't know what took us before we got to this place.
Okay.
And the people I'm pointing at to make sure they speak on this document. So thank you.
Give her a microphone. Let her second and we go. This talking?
I, Arishe Folashade from Ondo State. I seconded. I saved the governor on special person from Ondo State.
Please clap for her.
A female lady, I'm not a male.
So there's a gender bias. Thank you. Thank you very much. And can we have one house? One house, one house. Please, can you clap for yourselves again? You cannot be better than this. And we hope to work together. On this note, we are coming to a close. On this note, we thank every one of you for coming, and particularly the management of the ministry for aligning itself to its duties, responsibilities, mandate, and functions to ensure that issues of disability move to the next level. We also thank our supporters, the UKFID, the PERL and the ARC that gave support and also willing to give more support to this cause. We thank you very much for all this. And we thank our able DPOs. Without you, without us, how do you say it? You are not responding. Nothing for, okay. And we also have another cliche now. Leave no one behind. And this is more very much inclusive. So we thank you very much for coming. We continue to work with you. We thank the pressmen and the presswomen. We thank the consultants. We thank everyone that has come to ensure that this is a good day, including our MDAs, our other stakeholders that are here to support us. We thank you very much and pray that as you go back safely to your destinations. And we hope to meet again. And we need to meet as frequent as possible. Apart from meeting as frequent as possible, you can always contact us by sending your reports. You can always contact us by asking for anything you want to ask us, any inquiry, where our doors are open, and we pray to move forward. Thank you very much, and God bless you. The meeting is hereby closed. You go for your lunch. Sorry. Okay. An announcement, please.
Announcement, please. If Mrs. Gom Embadon, have I pronounced it right? Domo Steve Boma, Igwe Matt Bollins, Itilola Aliyu, Olutope F. Fashui, and Arishe Folashade. You should try and see Mr. Patrick at the back of the auditorium, please. Then, for those that have been lodged in Sheraton Hotel and Towers, after your lunch, the driver that brought you to the venue of the event will come back to pick you. He'll be waiting for you at the gate. Have I made myself clear? And then, sorry, lastly, there is a provision for our brothers and sisters that are fasting. Provision in the sense of takeaway packs. Strictly for those that are on fasting. If you are a Christian, eat your meal and depart. Thank you very much, and God bless. Thank you. I don't bring out, I don't skip my mind, sir. Thanks. God bless. Thank you very much, man. No.
Acknowledge yourself.